CFTC filing an amicus brief earlier this week defending its right to regulate prediction markets in a Wall Street Journal op-ed. Chair Michael Sella criticizing state legal attacks on the agency's authority. Joining us right now is former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. He's been outspoken on the rights of states to regulate sports gambling and currently is advising the American Gaming Association. In a quick disclosure, we should tell you that CNBC and Kalshi have a commercial relationship that includes CNBC having a minority investment in that company. And, of course, we run lots of different Kalshi
we do.
Data on our screen and discuss it as we do others. But good morning.
Good morning.
I've seen you in quite some time.
Good to see you, Andrew.
So help us understand sort of where you land on this debate, this idea between the federal sort of umbrella over the country versus what states should be allowed to do in this context.
Well, you know, I'm confused that a Republican administration believes in greater federal regulation, greater federal oversight and overreach when the states are already doing a great job at what's happening. You have 40 states that have legalized gaming across the country. They set up their own regulatory schemes, their own taxing schemes, their own schemes to protect consumers and the integrity of the game, and it's working across the entire country. Now, all of a sudden, the CFTC wants to come in and become the National Gaming Board.
Right.
How about if they focus on what they're supposed to be focusing on, which is things like derivatives in the agriculture sector and the things that they've been doing all along. Instead, now they want to become why? Because there's any problem? You don't hear any problem across the country from anybody.
So what do you think is driving this?
Look,
is this lobbying money?
Well, I think there's lobbying money involved. I think what Kalshi, Polymarket, and some of the other companies have is a huge amount of cash, and they're spending that cash, as you can tell, on advertising, but also they're spending that money in Washington, D.C. Look, we fought for this. You know, this is a fight that I started in 2012 to allow states to make the decision of whether to have sports gambling or not. It was a 6-year fight to finally get the Supreme Court to do it, and when they said we could do it, they said this was a states' rights issue. States went out and made the decision. What's going on with Kalshi and Polymarket now is they're violating laws in all 50 states. In the 40 states that have gambling, they say if you want to offer gambling to folks, come and get regulated and licensed and do what you need to do inside the state. For the 10 who don't want it, they're going over the top and saying we're going to give it to you anyway. So in a state, for instance, like Alabama,
right,
a state like Georgia, who said we don't want it, Utah, we don't want it, they're saying too bad, you're going to get it anyway.
Have you seen, all of those states have not filed suits, though, yet?
Not all, but it's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming because, and look, it's stupid when, you know, the head of the CFTC gets on and like challenges the nation's governors and says, you know, bring it on. We'll see you in court. I mean, does he really want 50 states to be filing lawsuits?
And do you think about this
him?
in the context just of sports gambling, or do you think of this in the context of, you know, basically being able to, quote unquote, bet on who's going to be elected? Or do you put them in the same category?
No, not my issue.
Why is that not your issue? Because part of what's happening here is...
Because the states are not doing that. Look, Andrew, when we're really clear about this, I have nothing against Kalshi or Polymarket. If they want to offer sports gambling, fine. Then come into New Jersey, come into Iowa, come into any of the states that have it, register, get licensed, and pay your taxes.
They would say they're not in the gambling business.
Well, come on. So now, I heard this the other day. So
just from a technical perspective, I'm projecting. They would say that they are not the house. There is no house.
Yes, there is. They're taking a cut. It's the same thing. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. You tell that betting.
I'm saying that's what they are taking.
It's a ridiculous position. If on opening day in baseball season this year, Yankee fans are going to be able to go on Kalshi and Polymarket and bet the over-under on how many strikeouts the opening day pitcher off. That's a derivative? You're a business network. That's a derivative? It's not. It's a sports bet. And that's fine if they want to be in that business. And by the way, it's 90% of their revenue is sports betting, 90%. So please, spare me. What they're trying to do is avoid regulation and avoid being taxed at the state level. Guess what? DraftKings would like to do that. FanDuel would like to do that. BetMGM would like to do that. But they're following the law. These guys are breaking the law.
And just to put it out there again, you are, though, being paid by the Gaming Association, which represents the interests of those who have already followed the state path.
Yeah, absolutely. But let me say this. I'm also the one who fought to create this entire industry.
No. So I'm not saying you have an authentic claim on it.
Yeah. My goal in this is to allow the states to have the rights I fought for them to have.
Right.
And they have those rights. And by the way, if there was a horrible bunch of stuff going on where the states were proving they could not regulate this appropriately, then I can understand why the feds would want to come in. There is no excuse for the federal government to come in. And how are we having a Republican administration who says they're for deregulation now decide they want to become the National Gaming Board?
Let me ask you a related question to that, which is that Eric Trump happens to be, the son of the president, happens to be an advisor to both Polymarket.
Is it Eric? I thought it was Donald Jr.
I'm sorry, Don Jr. I apologize. Don Jr. Happens to be an advisor to both Polymarket and to Kalshi. Does that present a problem to you?
Look, I'm not going to be here this morning to discuss the various personal conflicts that the president's family has with federal regulation. It is what it is. They're doing it. And whether I would hope that does not have an influence on the chairman of the CFTC. But everyone can take a look at it and make their own judgment. I think this is
what is your position? Here you are saying the administration is doing the wrong thing, and that's why I'm asking you.
I can't, but Andrew, I can't read their mind.
Right.
Because all I know is it's inconsistent with what the president has said he wants to do, which is to deregulate, get the government out. He just did some big things at the EPA, which I agree with in terms of deregulation. So why are we being inconsistent on this point?
Well, by the way,
everyone else can read
there's
it
an
to
effort
why,
right now to, we can go to a different topic, but to AI, which is there's a view that the government, this administration believes there should be federal regulations over AI while the states want to regulate it themselves.
But here's the difference I would argue on that, is that there is not right now an existing regime of AI regulation in the states. You have 8 years of experience of the states regulating sports gambling and doing it in a way that makes it completely effective, protects the consumer. Let me tell you something else that Kalshi and Polymarket are doing in the sports area. They're marketing to teenagers. They're marketing to teenagers. In every one of the states where there's sports gambling, you cannot market to or take bets from anyone under the age of 21. You want to go on Kalshi and Polymarket at 18, 19 years old and do this? You can. That's not protection of the consumer. The states are protecting the consumer. Let me ask you a
separate question. I want to show you a video. We did an interview with the CEO of Kalshi.
Oh, I saw it.
Okay, and this is a different topic.
You watch every day.
I do.
This is a question about how we should think about the concept of insider trading. You were a prosecutor in your life.
Yes, I was.
I want you to listen to this. This is the CEO of Kalshi.
Do you think I'll understand it any better than when I watched it the first time? Well, because it was absolutely impossible to understand what the hell he was talking about.
Hang on, let me show you the tape. We asked him about how we think about insider trading in the context of being able to bet on anything. Take a look.
As a regulated financial market by the CFTC, we have the same rules as the NASDAQ and the NYSE, and we have the same mechanism of enforcement. We know who the customers are when they onboard to Kalshi, like when you onboard to a brokerage. We know their name, their address, their social security, oftentimes their ID. We know exactly who they are. And then, we have systems that detect any weird patterns of suspicious trades, just like the NASDAQ does. Then it goes to surveillance. We have an investigation staff, investigation checks who was behind it and what they were. And if they were doing something wrong and there was insider trading, the punishment goes from fines to referral to the CFTC for criminal prosecution. So the same exact rules, same exact mechanism. And actually, just last week, we beefed up our mechanism of surveillance.
Okay, so you were laughing while this was on.
Well, the SEC has very clear rules on this, and material non-public information. What's the material non-public information in this? How do they don't define it? The CFTC doesn't define it. The CFTC has no enforcement function. They have no employees right now in the enforcement area. None. Zero. So who's doing this exactly? We're counting on that guy that you just saw on the screen to be the arbiter? I mean, this is the same place where there were bets being made on when Maduro would be captured. And someone won $400 grand on that. How did they know that?